Welcome to Sumit Academy. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. Do subscribe now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. In this video, we shall talk about the National Education Policy 2020 or NEP, which was launched on 29 July 2020, replacing the 34-year-old National Policy on Education framed in 1986. The new policy proposes to make sweeping reforms in school and higher education, including teaching. The policy seeks to transform the country's academic scenario all the way from a toddler to the level of a research scholar. As per the government, this policy is built on the foundational pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability, and is aligned to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It aims to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society and global knowledge superpower by making both school and college education more holistic, flexible, multidisciplinary, suited to 21st century needs, and aimed at bringing out the unique capabilities of each student. It is felt that attaining foundation literacy and numeracy for all children must become an immediate national mission. The Union Cabinet has also renamed the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, the MHRD, as the Ministry of Education. This decision of changing the name of the ministry was done as per the recommendations listed in the draft on the new education policy, which suggested it to bring the focus back on education and learning. What purpose does an NEP serve? An NEP is a comprehensive framework to guide the development of education in the country. The need for a policy was first felt in 1964 when a 17-member Education Commission headed by the then UGC chairperson D.S. Kothari was constituted to draft a national and coordinated policy on education. Based on the suggestions of this commission, Parliament passed the first education policy in 1968. A new NEP usually comes along every few decades. India has had 3 to date. The first came in 1968 and the second in 1986 under Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi respectively. The NEP of 1986 was revised in 1992 when P.V. Narasimha Rao was Prime Minister. The third is the NEP released now based on the draft prepared by a panel of experts led by former Indian Space Research Organization ISRO Chief K. Kasturirangan. Strangely enough, in a country teeming with outstanding school education experts and think tanks, the government found it appropriate to have the panel headed by a space scientist and included a few IAS officers and vice chancellors. The panel sadly lacked any representation from school education. The new academic session will begin in September-October. The delay is due to the unprecedented COVID-19 outbreak, and the government aims to introduce the policy before the new session starts. The important thing to remember here is that, contrary to what the newspapers and television channels are saying, the NEP only provides a broad direction and is not mandatory for the states to follow. Since education is a concurrent subject, both the center and the state governments can make laws on it. The reforms proposed can only be implemented collaboratively by the center and the state. This will not happen immediately. The incumbent government has set a target of 2040 to implement the entire policy. Sufficient funding is also crucial. Remember, the 1968 MEP could not be completely implemented due to a shortage of funds. The government plans to set up subject-wise committees with members from relevant ministries at both the central and state levels to develop implementation plans for each aspect of the NEP. The plans will list out actions to be taken by multiple bodies, including the Education Ministry, state education departments, school boards, NCERT, Central Advisory Board of Education, and National Testing Agency, among others. Planning will be followed by a yearly joint review of progress against targets set. This task is yet to commence and may take quite some time. What does the emphasis on mother tongue or regional language mean for English medium schools? Yes, that is the question worrying most parents today. Such emphasis is not new. Most government schools in the country are doing this already. As for private schools, it is unlikely that they will be asked to change their medium of instruction. The government, within 2 days of the approval of the NEP, has clarified that the provision on mother tongue as medium of instruction was not compulsory for states. Since education is a concurrent subject, the policy clearly states that children will be taught in their mother tongue or regional language wherever possible. What about people in transferable jobs or children of multilingual parents? The NEP doesn't say anything specifically on children of parents with transferable jobs, but acknowledges children living in multilingual families. According to the policy, teachers will be encouraged to use a bilingual approach, including bilingual teaching learning materials, with those students whose home language may be different from the medium of instruction. Let's have a closer look at some of the highlights of the policy. First, from the present 10+2 schooling will now be 5+3+3+4, corresponding to the ages 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, and 14 to 18 years respectively. Schooling starts at the age of 3 years now, bringing the uncovered age group of 3 to 6 years under school curriculum, which has been recognized globally as the crucial stage for development of mental faculties of a child. Let us have a closer look at each of these stages. First is the foundational stage. Students between the ages of 3 to 8 years will be part of this stage. It will be split into 2 parts, 3 years of preschool and 2 years in grades 1 and 2. This stage consists of play and activity-based learning. It will also focus on good behavior, personal and public hygiene, cleanliness, teamwork and cooperation learning exercises. Preschool sections covering at least 1 year of early childhood care and education will be added to Kendriya Vidyalayas and other primary schools around the nation. Particularly, in disadvantaged areas. Second is the preparatory stage. Students in the formative age group of 8 to 11 years studying in grades 3 to 5 will form the preparatory group. Preparatory stage will transition gradually from play-based learning to more formal but interactive classroom learning with the introduction of some new subjects. Emphasis will be on subjects like reading, writing, speaking, physical education, art, languages, science, and mathematics. Teaching up to at least grade 5 will be in mother tongue or regional language, but the policy is quite clear that no language will be imposed on any student. It is not clear as of now as to what medium the defense sector schools and the Kendriya Vidyalayas, who primarily cater to children of parents in transferable jobs, will be after the policy comes into effect on 1st September 2020. The third is the middle stage. Widening the scope of learning, students of grades 6 to 8 between ages 11 to 14 will be introduced to more abstract concepts in subjects like the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. While there is a running refrain of autonomy and choice in the document, this is circumscribed at crucial junctions. For instance, the selection of vocational subjects in middle school is described as a fun choice. At the same time, as per the policy, it is to be exercised as decided by states and local communities and as mapped by local skilling needs. So students ultimately will get little or no choice in the selection of vocational subjects. Fourth is the secondary stage. This last stage of school education is for children between 14 to 18 years of age. This stage consists of two sub-stages covering grades 9 and 10 in the first phase and grades 11 and 12 in the second. This stage will comprise of 4 years of multidisciplinary studies with greater depth, greater critical thinking, greater attention to life aspirations, and greater flexibility and student choice. Terms like life aspirations are very wide-ranging and have not been adequately defined in the policy. Student choice, of course, will be limited by the options the schools offer. The high school stage may also allow exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility. Class 10th and 12th board examinations are planned to be made easier to test core competencies rather than memorized facts, with all students allowed to take the exam twice. So while the entire world is moving towards continuous evaluation, this policy not only reiterates the continuation of board exams, but permits students to appear twice if they so desire. This reforming policy aims at multifaceted development of a child and would provide the student with a wider choice of profession and make education less tedious. The policy has been designed to optimize learning for students based on the cognitive development of children. The policy, of course, is deafeningly silent on who gets to decide the level of cognitive development. Education being a concurrent subject, can this be imposed on the states? There will be no rigid separation between arts and sciences between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams. Students can select subjects of their liking across the streams. Once again, subject to availability of a particular subject and its infrastructure in their schools. Vocational education will start in schools from the 6th grade and will include internships. A dedicated unit for the purpose of orchestrating the building of digital infrastructure, digital content, and capacity building will be created in the Ministry of Education. This will look after the e-education needs of both school and higher education. A comprehensive set of recommendations for promoting online education, consequent to the recent rise in epidemics and pandemics, wherever traditional and in-person modes of education are not possible, has been covered. Government also plans to use school complexes beyond school hours and public library spaces which will be ICT equipped when possible for adult education courses and for other community engagement and enrichment activities. Once again, who gets to decide what community enrichment activities are? The policy, as usual, is silent on the issue. In a very welcome move, it is planned that NIOS, the National Institute of Open Schooling, will develop high-quality modules to teach Indian Sign Language and to teach other basic subjects using Indian Sign Language. Children with disabilities will be enabled to fully participate in the regular schooling process from the foundational stage to higher education, with support of educators with cross-disability training, resource centers, accommodations, assistive devices, appropriate technology-based tools, and other support mechanisms tailored to suit their needs. Every state and district will be encouraged to establish Bal Bhavans as a special daytime boarding school to participate in art-related, career-related, and play-related activities. Free school infrastructure will be used as Samajik Chetna Kendras. Of course, this concept is not clearly defined and will need detailed guidelines from the government. There is a passing reference in the policy to educational institutions in tribal areas, designated as ashram shalas and envisaged as part of the early childhood children education program. While there are sections of the document that describe ways in which such children are supposed to gain access to higher education institutions, there is no time frame that is specified. This is particularly crucial as the document visualizes increased privatization of education, attempting to distinguish this from commercialization. In a situation of growing privatization and the near collapse of public institutions of higher education, how these policies will be implemented is a matter of concern. So what will college education be like now? Under the NEP, undergraduate degree will be of either 3 or 4 year duration with multiple exit options within this period. Colleges will be mandated to give certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline or field, including vocational and professional areas, or a diploma after 2 years of study, or a bachelor's degree after a 3 years program. If a student wishes to study further, after 4 years, a BA student should be able to enter a research degree program directly, depending on how well he or she has performed in these 4 years. However, master's degree programs will continue to function as they do, following which a student may choose to carry on for a PhD program. Government will also establish an academic bank of credit for digitally storing academic credits earned from different higher education courses, so that these can be transferred and counted towards final degree earned. So you have a choice. Study really well for 4 years and hope to get into a PhD program directly. Or take a bachelor's degree after 3 years, do your master's for another 2 years and hope to get into a PhD program. But then a PhD is not necessary for most of the jobs offered in our country. So a 3-year graduation as at present and maybe a master's to follow would be more than enough for most of us. Affiliation of colleges is to be phased out in 15 years and a stage-wise mechanism is to be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. Over a period of time, it is envisaged that every college would develop into either an autonomous degree granting college or a constituent college of a university. Higher Education Commission of India, HECI, will be set up as a single umbrella body for entire higher education, excluding medical and legal education. HECI will have 4 independent verticals: the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, NHERC, for regulation, the General Education Council, GEC, for standard setting, Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC, for funding, and the National Accreditation Council, NAC, for accreditation. The policy states that universities from among the top 100 in the world will be able to set up campuses in India. While it doesn't elaborate the parameters to define the top 100, the government may use the QS World University Rankings, as it has relied on these in the past while selecting universities for the Institute of Eminence status. However, none of this can start unless the Education Ministry brings in a new law that includes details of how foreign universities will operate in India. Will they be able to transfer their profits abroad? Or will such universities be on joint venture basis? A lot needs to be defined by law. It is not clear if a new law would enthuse the best universities abroad to set up campuses in India. In 2013, at the time the UPA 2 was trying to push a similar bill, the top 20 global universities, including Yale, Cambridge, MIT, Stanford, Edinburgh, and Bristol, had shown no interest in entering the Indian market. Participation of foreign universities in India is currently limited to them entering into collaborative programs, sharing faculty with partnering institutions, and offering distance education. Over 650 foreign education providers have such arrangements in India. While we have been hearing a great deal about the benefits of being Atmanirbhar, the policy explicitly facilitates the presence of foreign universities within higher education. These universities are held up as ideals to be emulated. So as per the policies, MERUs, MERUs, that is multidisciplinary education and research universities, will be set up and will aim to reach the global status of, for example, the Ivy League universities in the US. What does multidisciplinary mean? Will IIMs now teach the sciences? And will IITs venture big time into arts? As per the policy, departments in languages, literature, music, philosophy, Indology, art, dance, theatre, education, mathematics, statistics, pure and applied sciences, sociology, economics, sports, and other such subjects needed for a multidisciplinary, stimulating Indian education and environment will be established and strengthened at higher education institutions across the country. But the policy totally misses out on any mention of the fields of studies such as women's studies or gender studies, cultural studies, media studies, Dalit studies, studies of discrimination and exclusion, environmental studies and development studies, all of which have developed over the last 3 to 4 decades. As you can see, making a policy by scientists and bureaucrats is easy, especially when you use high-flying words that a vast majority does not understand. But you have to ultimately make someone responsible for its implementation. For teachers, a new and comprehensive National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education NCFTE 2021 will be formulated by the National Council for Teacher Education, the NCTE, in consultation with the National Council of Educational Research and Training, that is the NCERT. By 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be a 4-year integrated B.Ed course and will be moved to multidisciplinary colleges and universities. As with other fields, teacher education will also be divided into 3 stages. The 4-year integrated B.Ed will be the minimum degree qualification for teaching, which includes student teaching at local schools. For applicants with an existing bachelor's degree in other specialized subjects, it will be a 2-year B.Ed, and for those who have completed the equivalent of 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor's degree or have obtained a master's degree in any specialty, it will be a 1-year B.Ed. Yes, a lot of debate is being generated on the subject. Unfortunately, as my former colleague and friend has so rightly pointed out to us veteran educationists, what will never be debated is the quality of our teachers, both at school and college or university level, and the commercialization and therefore the inequality of education. The biggest flaw of NEP was that it does not mention or take any responsibility of providing quality education in government schools, while encouraging private school education. The whole purpose of education is to inspire and arouse curiosity in a child to reach her or his full potential. The driving force is the teacher, who through his own values of commitment, compassion and integrity inspires the child to explore the world, both her own and her surroundings, and bring out the best in him to reach his full potential. It is for this reason that our ancient scriptures have placed the Guru on a high pedestal. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. In other words, Guru is the creator, Brahma. Guru is the preserver, Vishnu. And Guru Deva is destroyer, Maheshwara. Guru is the absolute singular Lord himself. Salutations to that Sri Guru. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. So long as a vast majority of us teachers are found wanting in this critical test, many such policies will come and go without touching the very purpose of education. And while we preen ourselves on yet another major change in our educational setup, let us always remember the famous words of Albert Einstein. Schooling should provide the means for a child to embrace his natural interests and pursue his chosen passions. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Let us sincerely hope that this latest overhaul of the Indian education system motivates us towards real education, not just literacy. However, if India fails to achieve universal foundation literacy and numeracy in primary school and beyond by 2025, any national educational policy, no matter how grand, will only translate into a mere vacuum. Well, that's all from me in this video. This video is based on the information freely available on the internet and discussion with educationists. No originality is claimed for the same. I express my gratitude to all the media and legal websites for the information carried by them. The intention of this video is to prepare candidates for answering examination questions on the subjects. I hope you like this video. Do press the like button now and do subscribe to my channel now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. Till later then, cheerio.